Hey guys, welcome to the losses and mistakes video. So in this video, you're going to see me making mistakes, and hopefully by seeing me make the mistakes, you can kind of put that in your brain and avoid them yourself. So to get started, our first one is a 1 versus 1 mistake. So the lesson to take away from this is that in a 1 versus 1, which it's usually not a 1 versus 1, but in a fight where you think it's relatively even, Brutix versus Deimos, it's not. You have no way to regenerate, no way to rep, no way to keep up in a very long fight. The Deimos is pretty much the Brutix in a smaller package, except with reps. Now, if I was a dual rep Brutix here, yes, I could fight the Deimos with some safety. I mean, in the end, he's relatively a little bit better than a Brutix in most cases. And you can see here he's going to have backup in a second. But my thoughts going into this, I chose this fight. It wasn't a fight that was sprung on me. It was forced on me. I wanted this fight. So what happened was I thought that I could overwhelm his reps because the Deimos has not many hit points, where I have 80,000 hit points in this fit here. He's got only like 20,000, 25,000 hit points and then a rep. And that rep's somewhere between probably 600 and 1,000 DPS rep. But I've got a newt on him, a small newt, and I've got quite a bit of DPS. Overloading right now, I'm probably pushing somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, is that void? Yeah. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 or more DPS I'm putting on him. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. He's repping me with ease. So maybe he has links. I did scan a Tengu, I think, earlier at the beginning of this fight. But now there's an Ishtar on field. I don't see red box from the Ishtar, but it does seem like I'm taking more DPS. Yeah, see Robbie. I can see the damage notification. So he is shooting me. He's shooting me with his drones. That's why it doesn't show a red box from him, because the red box is from his drones. So I lose, and I lose pretty badly there. That wasn't even a close fight. That was I guess got tore up. Now in this I'm flying Kaloa here, and I'm in head GP, pretty busy system. And I noticed that there's some Svei pools about Orthruses. I'm not concerned with Orthrus because I'm just MJD. And so what I really want to do is I want to purposefully get caught in this bubble that I know is here, because I'd already warped across systems several times trying to get them to fight me. There was another ship that I was actually trying to fight, and then I ended up fighting these guys instead, and they're probably all together. Who knows? So I decide, well, I'm going to see if I can force them into me, and I'm going to go ahead and engage this bubble and force that Svei pool to come to me, because I wanted to fight this Svei pool. Now, it's important to note, before this happens, it's important to note that 90% of the time when you engage a Svei pool, Confessor, any of the other T3 destroyers, the Caldari one is completely slipping my head right now. I can't think of it. You can assume to win so long as you get them at under 10k. You get a scram and a web. You can assume that you're going to win, right? And I have, in just about every fight where I've fought against a T3 destroyer, I have won, except for this guy. The only time I didn't win, I escaped, because they were all staying out at like 12k, and I just MJD'd eventually away from them. But this guy completely took me by surprise, because I assume, when I go out and fight, I assume that everyone is competent. I assume that everyone is reasonably good and is going to fly the ship pretty much like I would fly it. This guy surprised me. This guy, not only does he play this very well, this WS26 guy, but he also, in retrospect, I found out that he's got a 200 million plus ISK fit on that Svei pool. He's also got links going. So what he has is an active shield tank with links and a lot of very, very expensive stuff. So right now you can see he's killing my drones, because my drones are the only thing really touching him. He's staying out. He's effectively scram kiting me by running his afterburner, even webbed, and staying out at 8k. He's avoiding a lot of my DPS from my guns and only taking DPS from the drones. The problem with that is he's killing the drones while ignoring me, and all the DPS I'm taking right now is coming from the Orthrus. So while the Svaypool kills off my drones, which I know he's doing, but I'm thinking I'm about to break him. He must have, in my mind, in the fight right now, what's going through my head is that this guy has like a medium ASB on there. He's going to run out of charges and then just melt. But he never runs out because he doesn't have an ASB. He's got a straight up, I think it's a Pith A-type small shield booster or something like that, or medium. And so yeah, I can't break him. He's staying out beyond my ability to really do any DPS. And so now the fight just becomes a fight where I have nothing I can do to stop this. This is over. I'm done. This fight was pretty much done before it started. I didn't have a chance because he stays out at range far enough to avoid my DPS. So he's avoiding my damage output while at the same time he's keeping a scram on me to keep me from MJDing away. And he's applying a little bit of DPS and letting the Orthrus mostly just kind of whittle me down. So this is the threat. I mean, this guy, he countered me exceptionally well, and he deserves credit for that. But at the same time, his little Svaypool is worth 3 times as much as my Brutix, and he's got links, and he's got drugs, and he's got implants, and all that stuff. So, you know, I guess there's that niche there where you can fly it. Now, I thought about maybe stealing his fit and flying that myself with links and implants and all that stuff. But then you know what? You fly something like that, you got to be super, super careful about what you fight, because even in a ship that powerful, it's got a great rep, it's got a 10 afterburner so you can maintain some mobility even when you're webbed and scrammed. Even that, you know, if it was in, instead of being in a Brutix, if I was in a Pilgrim, he'd be dead. If I was in, or if I happened to be a small gang of 2 or 3 other T3 destroyers, he'd be dead. So in that case, he was just in the right ship with the right tactics at the right time, the right place, right? So in this video, we're talking about the mistake of being greedy. All right, so what happens here is I'm in lowsec. I've been roaming around all night looking for a fight, unable to find one. I come to this lowsec system and I see in a belt, it appears that there is a Mackinaw and a Mauler. And I think I'd come through the system once before and scanned them on my way through, and there was more than this. There was like a retriever or something else in there. But now I see this and I say, well, hey, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to drop the Mackinaw really quick. Then I'm going to kill the Mauler, because the Mauler's not going to be able to put out all that much DPS in most cases. So ignore him, kill the Mackinaw, because if I kill the Mackinaw, I've won the fight effectively. You know, his ship's worth much more than mine. So the idea is let's just nuke that Mackinaw, and really I should try to put my newt on the Mauler. Well, whatever. And then now I'm not pointed. I can leave right now. So there's nothing keeping me on this grid. However, there's no reason for me to say I should leave. So I'm not being greedy yet, right? I still, there's no reason why I can't kill this Mauler. He should die. I mean, Maulers usually have really good tanks, but it's still a cruiser, all right? So now the Brutix Navy's in, and that should have been my cue, time to leave. I should have left right now, because yes, I'm in a Brutix, but I'm in a Brutix against a Brutix Navy, which is already a losing fight to start with. Plus, I'm in their home system. Plus, there's a Mauler on the field. So, I'm pretty sure it must be a mining Mauler. And here's where you see a mixture of greed and the thing that kills me the most often, boredom. I actually charged. I didn't know I charged the Brutix Navy. That was just crazy. Rather than finish off this Mauler, I say, no, I'm coming for you. I guess I saw the Mauler wasn't doing any DPS to me, so he was no real threat. He wasn't a challenge to me. He wasn't going to point me. He wasn't pointing me. So at this point, it's still, I'm not scrammed. This fight is still something that I can escape. But I decide, well, you know, there's no real risk here. I can get out. But now there's another Brutix Navy. I should be getting out right now. but I get greedy. I mean, there's something to be said, I guess, for being in a ship and just going, full out. I'm going to take on everything. But why I don't leave at this point is beyond me, because now there's no Narrows on the field. There's absolutely zero possibility for me to win this fight. I am still not scrammed. I can still leave right now. What I'm doing right now is not only greedy, it's stupid. And there I hit the MJD. But it's too late. Where's the scram? Boom. What? I didn't go anywhere. So that's kind of weird. It showed that the MJD went off, but I never actually went anywhere. So I'm dead. And that was entirely avoidable. That fight was entirely avoidable. I don't think that the first Brutix I engaged, the first Brutix Navy, had a point. I don't think he had a scram or a point. I could have warped off long before that. Now it's a Proteus, Falcon. I could have warped off long before that. I got greedy. When you're in someone's home system and you get a kill, don't get greedy. Don't sit around and wait for more. I mean, you can escalate. I love escalations. But you got to know when you lost. When is it all over? And in that case, it was all over. I should have killed the Mackinac, saw the Brutix Navy, and just walked out of there. And I had the opportunity. It was stupid. Now, I thought we already did 1 versus 1 dangers. I'm not really sure what's going on with this. I must not have renamed this slide. Okay, yeah, I didn't. All right, sorry about that. The real title of that slide should be always align before you MJD. Never MJD, then try to warp. Always align to what you're going to warp to, then MJD. So now I'm in Beak. It's lowsec. It's a little lowsec system in between 2 high-sec systems in the middle of nowhere, back in Genesis, where I kind of got my start in Eve. And there's a Gnosis in a belt. So I go in and I engage. An Orthrus, Tengu on scan. Gnosis versus Brutix, it's a 1 versus 1, where I think I stand a good chance against most Gnosis pilots and ships and fittings. I think it's a fair matchup, Gnosis versus Brutix, and I felt pretty good killing him. So you can see it, and yes, it did. It ended up working pretty well. He's dropping very quickly, no problem. And now we've got an Orthrus on the field. So the problem with the Orthrus is long point. Missed the pod. So, but the Orthrus, ultimately, yeah, he's DPS output on me, but he cannot hold me here. See, it appears he has ECM drones as well. I'm being a little bit greedy again, trying to chase. And then I just MJD and say, well, I'm going to leave. Well, I kind of MJD towards him. So when I land, he's only 90k away. And now I'm going to try to completely reverse my momentum and warp to something while he's burning at me with an overloaded point. And boom, I'm pointed. Now, so 2 minutes before I can MJD again, there's no chance. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. This fight's over. My only hope here would be, at this point, in something I can give you advice for you. If you find yourself in this situation where you're held down by a solo Orthrus, is if I would have had EC300s up there, there's a very small chance that I could lock this guy, put the EC300s on him, and just stay aligned and spam warp, right? I'm putting my infiltrators on him to see if they'll force him off maybe, because his DPS output's really low right now. I'm not even regenerating shields. I don't even think he's shooting at me. He's reloading. I bet he's a rapid light fit and he's reloading. So there's a very good chance that ECM drones would have saved me here, just a set of lights of EC300s. But that should have been, just like the last one, that should have been a clean kill and escape, right? It should have been very clean. It should have been a nice kill that I could have shown you in my great fights and my other successful fight videos, and I could have shown you that and said, hey, look at this. This is the way you do it. But I got greedy. I didn't align before I MJD'd, and I, for some reason, didn't have EC300s with me. So I took a completely avoidable loss. That was 100% avoidable. There was absolutely no reason why I should have died there. Let's get fast forward to the next video here. All right, so in this one, the mistake is hesitation, right? You know, there's that healthy balance of being aggressive enough versus being careful. In this case, I think I would have done much better if I was more aggressive. So you can see here we've got a hook bill and a towel war. They're staying at range. They don't seem to be super interested. I mean, they're interested, but they're kind of backing off, staying back. I'm clearly in an area where there's a lot of other pilots, so they can reship. It's the type of thing where when I talk about my movement video, I refer to that video a lot because I think it's really, really a big point to get. If you're in somebody's home system and you're not moving, then you're allowing them to slowly counter you, get the proper ships, to build their numbers, to get everybody into fleet, tell everybody to stop, quit browsing the web and watching YouTube and get back in the game, etc. And so you give the people a chance to slowly build up to the point to where they can not only outnumber you and beat you, but counter you, find something that completely counters you. What I should have done right here, here is the hesitation. I should have charged that Tau War, and I should have engaged. He's not running. He's not really even trying to kite. I could have grabbed him right there and engaged. Had I grabbed him and engaged, for one, I think the Tau War, the first Tau War, I think might have been the fleet commander. I'm not sure. I would have killed a Tau War. Okay, that's good. Most Tau Wars are long points, so scram's not a big deal. I could have went from the Tau War to the hook bill. No problem. Then I could have, probably avoided the Sentinel long enough to get an MJD cycle or something, or if he came in close, to kill him. But what I decide to do instead is to just reapproach the gate, get half of them aggroed, and jump through. Well, right now it's the Tower and the Thrasher aggroed. I jump. So the strategy should be working at this point, but then, hold on now. There's two very, very big, powerful ships here. I mean, high DPS ships, Raven and Oracle. Each one, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 800 DPS output. That's going to tear through me really fast if they come down in this fight. So I come through, and I didn't get many aggro on the side. It was kind of a waste. I should have engaged on the other side before everything could get in, so that I could take all these fights one at a time. One at a time. Not all at once, just as they trickle in, I take the fight. But now it's completely out of control. This is completely out of control, and I am being forced to fight now because I've already lost. So I'm in a situation where I'm not going to make it back to gate, almost certainly. I'm going to take a bump or something, or it's not even get there. I've got 3 webs on me. I'm not going to make it back to gate. I'm definitely going to die right here, right now. My only chance and my only really hope of salvaging anything from this is to get a few kills before I die. So I put my drones on the Sentinel in hopes that it will force him off the field so that he's not neuting me and I'm cap dead, which you see I'm rapidly becoming cap dead. I put my neut on the Incursus, probably just a waste of cap doing that, but the idea is to turn his guns off. I engage the hook bill. I managed to get the hook bill, which is what, like 30 mil or something, but then I die. Had I engaged that first time when that Tau War pointed me, had I engaged, I probably would have never seen the Oracle, the Raven, the Stratios. I would have never seen any of those ships. Or if I had, it would have been towards the end of the fight. And I certainly would have gotten more kills. I would have gotten probably 3 or 4 kills in that fight had I not hesitated. So, be careful. If you're in a situation like that where people can blob you, you need to be attacking. You need to be aggressive, because you've got to use whatever surprise you've got. If you allow them to prepare, of course they're going to beat you. You're not in some mystery ship where they say, well, a Brutix, gee, I don't know what a Brutix is going to do. It's pretty obvious. He's got blasters. He's cap dependent. If you nude him, he's going to die. He's going to want to fight up close. And he's either a structure tank or a dual rep. I mean, you know what a Brutix is, so it's not like it's a surprise to anybody. All right, so here I am in Camilla lowsec, and this looks like an interesting thing here. I'm going to reapproach the gate. Phobos probably would have locked me before I got off gate. I can't kill a Phobos fast enough to be worth anything. But what interests me here is all of a sudden, I haven't seen many ships yet, um, and now there's this Arazu. Why is an Arazu taking guns on a gate? So I'm thinking to myself, man, okay, this one isn't so much of a mistake. It's like I could have just jumped through that gate and escaped this. I had the option, but I guess you could file this under greed, where I saw that Arazu and I said, he's taking gate guns. So gate guns plus my, 700 DPS output. This guy is going to absolutely get crushed. Well, uh-oh, there's a sin. There's a sin, right? So it turns out there's a lot more here than I thought. Phantasms, Faypool. And at this point, again, I've lost. Fight's already over. There's very little I can do to survive this at this point. The best thing I can do is kill that Arazu. If I can kill the Arazu before I die, this is still a successful fight in my book. If I can kill the Arazu. Unfortunately, that Arazu has a really good tank. I'm not sure if he's catching reps. No, I don't think so. He's just got one seriously good buffer tank. And yeah, I almost got him in a structure. I bet once he got in structure, he would have just disappeared. I bet he had no damage control. It's just all armor stuff in that low slot, in the low slots. But I bet he would have dropped pretty quick there. I think this might be the last one. So this one is again in lowsec. It seems like a lot of my bad fights happened in lowsec, not nullsec. I wonder if there's anything to that. So I am in what I did a lot when I was trying to get fights in lowsec. I'm still not really fond of the whole faction warfare system. It changed lowsec from the lowsec that I grew up with, the lowsec that I kind of started playing the game with. It used to be people camped gates. People ratted in belts. Fights happen in belts. Now they happen in the sites. And that's fine in some cases because you can control what comes in, what doesn't. You can get another measure of control. But my solution to trying to get a fight with a Brutix in lowsec, because I was finding it very difficult, was to go to the large site and just align. So, if a pilgrim uncloaked beside me or something, or a falcon, I could warp before he could get a point on me. Stay aligned in a large site and let the fight come to me. So it appears to be working. At first, I acted like I was running, but that's mostly just to get some distance between me and the warp in so that when his buddies come, they don't land directly on top of us. Now I see that I'm having trouble holding on to him. He might warp off, so I charge in. I get my point. Another Thrasher's in, but you see he's basically outside of any effective range. He's charging in. By the time he gets here, his buddy will be dead. That's perfect. That's exactly why I was running off at first, so that would happen. So he goes down and to his buddy. And then this guy will drop really fast too. So the fight's going well. Everything's great at this point. Pulling the drones and warp off. I should just pull in the drones and, well, no, there's a flycatcher. Okay, so flycatcher, I feel like I have a good shot. I'm going to go for it. Charge, I need to get a lock, I need to get a point. And he's kiting. Okay, so since he's kiting, best thing for me to do at this point is just to align an MJD. There's nothing I can do here. Acolyte, this is just greed. Why am I putting, he's just going to warp off if the Acolytes hurt him. Right? It's just a complete waste. And I'm going to null. There's no reason for me to be doing this. I mean, I guess it's overconfidence. I feel like, you know what, I'm going to let this guy think he's got me. and while he's engaging, I'm going to be hurting him and hopefully making it hard for him. But then at the same time, hopefully some other small stuff comes in that I can kill. Now that there's a succubus and a omen and now a griffin, certainly the whole fight's ruined now there's a griffin here. I decided to disengage, so I just pretty much out of panic, I hit that MJD, and I don't even know if I'm aligned to anything. I think I'm aligned to Cormonin. And then boom, I'm 100K. And so everything's good right now. I've escaped, and yeah, I was greedy. I should have warped out sooner. I should have MJD'd sooner. But everything's fine right now. I can still get out. Here's where the big mistake comes. I decide, let's wait for the drones to come in, and then let's warp to, I believe I warped to 50 on the customs office. Now my hope here was, for one, these guys have limited engagement timers. So if I were to go to the Cormonin gate and jump through, they could tackle me without gate guns, making it, possibly a death trap for me to go to the gate. So I say, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this customs office, bounce off it to a station. Well, why didn't I just go to a station? I stopped the video there because I thought I was safe. But what happened was I landed, and this flycatcher landed 50K away from me. By the time I could align and start to warp, before I could get to warp, he pointed me. And so now he can hold me long enough for everybody to get here. I've still got over a minute left on my MJD to come back. I'm dead. Griffin's on the field. The fight's over. So again, it's a combination of greed. I stayed too long. I got greedy. And in this case, it was a really, really bad warp out. Go to 0 or go to 100. Go into 50. Why? Are you just going to put yourself so no matter where he warps, he can grab you? The proper way to do this would have been to, well before I did it before, align to a station, MJD towards the station, warp to the station at 0, and then worst case scenario, they all follow me to the station, and I've got like 30 seconds of aggro. I can wait out the 30 seconds of aggro, or the 15, or the 20. I can wait out that aggro and tank it long enough to dock. But warping to a custom is just stupid. So again, this is the mistakes video. This is the failure video. This is the video that shows all the things that you shouldn't do. And it's embarrassing just for me to watch myself do some of these mistakes because I'm better than that. And I know when you go out there and play like this, you're going to know you're better than this. But you still end up making mistakes. I still end up making mistakes. And all you can do is try to go back, learn from them, understand what you did wrong, and get better because of it. So as a direct result of this, I've started being very careful ever since then about what I align to when I'm MJDing. I no longer align to random stuff. I align to stations, or I align to moons. That's the big one I've been doing lately, especially in nullsec, is I've got all my moons up on my screen. So it's Alt-Shift-X to make the moons come up or go away so that you can see them just like you see this customs office and faction warfare deal, and then you see like a round thing for a planet if it was around here somewhere. So you can see the moons if you hit Alt-Shift-X. So what I do now is I just warp to moons. The risk in that is that if you land on a moon with a good pause, it might catch you and kill you. But 90% of the time or more, when you go to a moon, there's nothing there. And then probably of that remaining 10% of the time, I would say probably 5 or 6% of that, or 50% of that 10%, is a pause that doesn't have the proper stuff on it to catch someone who's just there for a second and warps off. So as long as you hit it and then immediately warp away, you get away the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time. And since most people don't have moons up, they don't see that you've warped to a moon. So in their mind, you've warped to a safe spot. But you've warped to a moon. Or they see you warp to a clump of stuff and they assume you went to the belt or the customs office, but you really went to a moon around that planet. So that's what I suggest for your align twos. In nullsec, align to MJD2 and warp to a moon in nullsec. In lowsec, if there's a station, go to the station. Or I guess even in nullsec with stations that you can dock at. So NPC nullsec or nullsec where you have the privilege or ability to dock. So that's the mistake video. I had a lot more losses than that, but the other ones are kind of just like, well, I got blobbed or something stupid where it wasn't something really, where something I did could have made a big impact. On all of those fights, I made a mistake, and I think on just about every single one of those fights, they could have been executed in a way that would have allowed me to survive. So those were all avoidable losses. And hopefully now that you've seen me make all those mistakes, you won't make those same mistakes.